Hey, welcome back to the Season 3 Breaking Bad Insider Podcast. My name is Kelly Dixon. I'm here with my executive producer, Vince Gilligan.
Yo, yo, yo.
One of our producers, Melissa Bernstein.
Hi.
And the writer of this episode, Jenny Hutchison.
Hello.
Why don't you talk a little bit about how you came to this?
The show, switched hands from FX to AMC, and all of a sudden it just sort of took off that we were going to make this pilot and that Vince Gilligan was going to direct it. So we literally just started kind of running for our lives, and I'm not sure that we've stopped since that point in time.
That's true. And you and I go back a long way.
Yes.
Yeah, when did we meet exactly? When was that?
We met in 1999 on the X-Files.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
When I was a
Jenny,
little
what
green
were
PA.
You played Agent Scully.
I did.
Yeah.
And I ended up at Mad Men, which is how I heard about Breaking Bad pilot. And my Mad Men job was wrapping up, so I was like, how do I get on that Breaking Bad show?
I can tell you from my point of view that just, working with Jenny for 11 years and her being a friend of mine and her doing a wonderful job as first my assistant and then as our writer's assistant, you can't lie and say it doesn't enter into it, but there's no way she would have gotten this script assignment if her writing hadn't been top-notch.
When I first found out the title, I thought my assistant wrote it down wrong because it's actually written ISEEYOU.
Yeah, well, it was ICU as the abbreviation was sort of the original pitch for the title, and I had kind of argued to do it spelled out ICU because I like this sort of double meaning of it, because I feel like this episode has a lot of people realizing things. Gus reveals to Walt that he knows, about his illness. He knows about Hank being his brother-in-law. He sees these things. The cousin who for 7 episodes has been pursuing Walt, doggedly trying to find Heisenberg, finally sees him. So I don't know. I liked sort of the double meaning of it.
I think it's great. As a showrunner and a head writer on a Season 3 show, how do you go about dealing with the pacing of a season?
Kind of episode by episode, brick by brick, and week by week. And I'd love to say that we had a plan. I had a plan for this going back to last season, but no. And conversely, I don't want to make it sound like we're just sort of bullshitting our way through it. We're not, but we're basing it all on known behavior of our main characters. We're basing it all on their characters. First and foremost, Walter White wants to provide for his family, and we start there, and we kind of work out in ever-increasing circles from that knowledge. And I guess the other thing is we always want to, our big credo last year was go big or go home.
Right.
All of this long-winded way of saying I don't think there was a master plan to have a big plot development, i.e., which you saw last week in episode 7 with the giant shootout between Hank and the cousins. It wasn't a master plan to have a big plot moment in the middle of the season, but it just kind of worked out that way.
Okay, so we had an interesting realization in this one. This was a tough one for you to tackle because we have to make Walt realize what's going on, and we don't have characters in the same room.
It's a tricky thing when your audience is way ahead of your main character, and the audience, you guys listening to this podcast, have been way ahead of Walter White all season long, because Walt, unbeknownst to Walt, you got these 2 crazy Mexican cartel hitmen after him for the whole season long, because the audience doesn't want to slow down just to catch up the main character. So we talked about, do we have to rehash all of this for Walt?
Right.
And one of the things we came up with, I'm so proud of, and that is this cousin crawling out of the bed on his stumpy, on his bloody stumps.
And they were so detailed in that we wanted to make sure that the legs, that they really looked like someone's legs were there. And also, we had a few different strategies with the blood.
Yeah.
The wonderful blood trail that's coming off of this poor man's legs.
They had like a little explosive device that would pop the little blood packet.
Yeah.
Special effects and visual effects are 2 different things. Special effects refers to all of the on-set, actual, real-life effects. In camera. Or in front of the camera, physically existing things like blood packets and...
There's a real range to it, though. I mean, even in the first episode, the explosion which could have easily been thought of as a visual effect. The way, considering how impressive it looks, is actually a special effect.
You do
your thing. Do your thing.
Let's go Break Bad.